You're listening to BFM 89.9, the business station.
Good afternoon. It is The Bigger Picture and it's Mira Sivasudi. While the government and policies insist that the crime rate in Malaysia has gone down, recent news continue to highlight reports of attacks, robbery, snatch, theft and kidnapping of fellow Malaysians. Now, credit has to be given to the authorities as well as corporations who are stepping up in their efforts to ensure the people's safety. But at the same time, what can we do to increase our safety and security? With me today is practical self-defense specialist Shamir Rajadurai, together with Emeline Lew, an assistant trainer, both from KickOut. Hi, how are you today?
We're very good. Thank you, Mira, for having us.
You're most welcome. What is KickOut all about, really?
Actually, KickOut is a company which we formed, and the whole philosophy behind it is practicality in protecting yourself. So we're a company which provides mainly practical protection, and one of the programs, what we do is what we call a Breakaway workshop.
Right.
And what we do there is we mainly teach people how do you avoid being victims, and if you become a victim, how do you escape without punching or kicking?
Okay, sounds very simple.
Very simple.
But as we all know, it's not easy. It's easier said than done.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Just to digress, what are some of the current common crime techniques that are being used by criminals?
Okay, we can break it down to a few different departments. The most common one which we hear about always is street crime. That would probably involve handbag snatching, smash and grabs. This is very typically what we know as case summon. Whereby someone comes up to you with a weapon and takes your belongings away.
Okay.
And also we have other things like banking scams, home invasion, car theft, mobile scams. These are some of the basic, very common crime techniques which are happening actually nowadays in Malaysia.
Okay. And these, when you talk about techniques, how are they very far ahead in terms of how they actually commit this crime? Because everyone has a different way of doing it, isn't it?
Yes. And what we do is to actually know what are these current crime techniques. This is actually Emeline's department.
Okay.
Whereby she actually compiles these techniques. Maybe Emily would like to share.
What are some of these techniques?
Actually, basically, I take all my information from newspaper and social media because people normally share what happened to them, normally on Facebook. And I compile all this information basically from, I have to give credits to some sites. For example, Be Alert, Stay Safe, the Malaysian Crime Awareness Campaign, the PJ Community Alert, and the Safer Malaysia Facebook page, and also online videos and from online articles.
Okay. Having said all of that, I think government is saying they're doing quite a lot. People are doubtful as far as, crime data is concerned. And, I had an interview with a criminologist and he said crime data has to be interpreted in a certain way. And many people can interpret it in different ways, in ways in which it would benefit them as well. So when, forget the crime data really. But when you go out and when you train people, what do you find they don't quite understand?
Okay, I think this can be related to the crime data as well. I believe that what the police has put forward, PDM has put forward, is information which they have gotten. So it is statistics which is real to them. And I think the reason why we as the people, we say, look, those statistics are definitely not real. I believe that actually falls down to a fraction of our fault. Because we do not share this information with the police. A lot of these cases, like what Emily has shared, it's all online cases. People have complained about it online, but most of them do not make a report. So that the police look, this is the statistics we have received, these are the reports we have received. Our statistics are real. But people are coming and look, we have not gotten this. The reason why I believe is this. There was an article actually in the Jakarta Globe on August 11th. And the headline of this was, Malaysians no longer trust police to prevent crime.
Right.
And I believe that has probably led to the public not wanting to make the report. Because to them, they say, look, I did not get any details out of it. Someone just came, grabbed my handbag. I cannot make a description out of this. What's the point of making a report?
Right.
So that is why it probably boils down to the statistics. And people not accepting the statistics.
Sure. And, when you talk about Breakaway, it is a course that combines both social awareness and physical techniques. Yep. Could you tell me more?
Yep. Okay. So what we do is that the main idea of it is to avoid being a victim. There are a lot of programs out there. When people say self-defense, they always think that, okay, this is definitely a martial art program. The whole perception of self-defense boils down to martial arts. We have broken away from that. We don't want it to be a thing where people say, okay, look, this is a martial arts program, we are going to learn how to punch, kick. No. Martial arts, as good as it is, takes too long to practice, too long to learn, and it's still no guarantee that you're going to be able to fight off an attacker. So what we have done is we've taken very simple, very practical concepts, mainly on how do you avoid being a victim, because we feel that's the most important thing. And the second part of it, if you are caught in a situation, how do you escape without punching or kicking? Because when someone attacks you, if you fight back, you're going to aggravate the situation further. Your life is way more important than your belongings. We believe that. We believe that you should have the ability to protect yourself and your loved ones.
Right.
And these are more important than your material belongings. So that's how the whole idea came about. Let's create a program on how we can break away from being victims in the first place.
Okay, so your basic philosophy is you should surrender?
Yes.
Okay.
We should surrender, but only surrender our belongings, not ourselves. So just say if someone's trying to abduct you, that's where our techniques come into play. How do you escape without punching or kicking?
Could you give me an example? How would you escape from, someone who's trying to abduct you?
Okay, let's just say someone's trying to pull you into a vehicle. Okay, we've developed a technique whereby one thing we should understand is that the human body is very weak when it comes to basic human physics, body physics. Okay, there's only so much a joint can move up to. Okay? So what we do is basic human instincts will teach you to pull away.
Yeah.
Basic human instinct. On the spot, nobody's going to move forward with the attacker. Everybody's going to pull away, which is good, which works in the dynamics of our program. So when someone attacks you, they are pulling you, you pull away. And that's where we play with our techniques. It's a bit difficult to demonstrate it since we're on air and not live TV. But what we do is we actually teach you how do you just use your hand and your elbow to just pull away from it. If someone's choking you, all you have to do is use your shoulder blades to escape. Things like very simple, very practical things. You don't need years and years of practice. We show it to you 2-3 times, you should be able to pick it up already. And it's something which is so simple that you can even practice at home. You're not going to hurt your loved one while practicing it. It's not somewhere where, okay, you tell your loved one, okay, come grab me, I'm going to kick you here, I'm going to kick you there. Nothing like that. They are just going to grab you and you're going to be able to learn how to outmaneuver yourself.
Right. And so is it easy to learn?
Very easy. Anybody can learn it.
Okay. And I'm just thinking at that time, you panic. Most of us panic. How do you even think of what you're going to do next?
Like I said,
they catch you off guard when you least expect it.
Definitely,
right?
Definitely. One way we would believe to actually not be caught off guard is actually to not become a target in the first place. So to avoid being a victim. And the best way to avoid being a victim is actually to not give the attackers a reason to target you. It's this very common mistakes which we make that make us targets in the first place. We'll go through a few in a while, but also answering your question on how do you actually approach this whole panic situation. It's actually a very simple thing which we spoke to with a psychologist, and what they said is this: just surrender to the situation. And what they mean by this is to accept what is happening to you at that point, and automatically your subconscious mind works, which works way faster than your conscious mind. And that's why your survival instincts kick in. That's why most people, when an incident happens to them, they see everything in slow motion. Every single detail, they can notice every single detail. And that's where it shows your survival instinct is kicking in. Just say something we have heard or learned, even for a short period of time, will kick in like, okay, I know I need to do this. Okay, I know I need to do that. So that's basically how do you avoid panicking in a situation.
Right. Does gender come into play? Do men and women handle these situations differently?
They do. But also, when talking about gender, I know to a certain extent people think, okay, women are usually a target. But I think times have really changed now. It is no more like that. Actually, just about 2 weeks ago, one of my friends almost got carjacked just behind, just around the Aradamansara area. Okay. And this guy is huge. He's 6 feet tall. He's huge. He goes to the gym, and he almost got carjacked. So I think it has come to a point where people do not really worry about the gender. It's more of an opportunity.
Right.
If they see an opportunity, they are going to take it.
Sure. But do men and women react differently?
They do. Definitely they do. I think men, because we have this ego in our minds thinking that, look...
and you want to fight back.
Yes, that's the thing. We have this ego like, look, we can fight these people.
Well,
we can
let's face it, males were made that way.
I believe so. But even then, there are still men who have been victims, and it can go really bad. Just to relate, another incident would be a friend of mine. He was walking around in Pujong, and finally he listens to me. Every time he says, "No, don't worry, nothing's going to happen to me, nothing's going to happen to me." He went out late at night to get a meal. He wanted to buy a burger. And these guys came up and wanted to rob him, and he fought back. He's thinking, look, I can take these guys, And this is where things turned bad for him. He got slashed on his hands as he was trying to protect himself. He got cuts on the head. And that's when he realized, look, I cannot fight these guys. I have to run.
Right.
So that's when he just threw everything and he ran off.
Okay, so in that situation, that's an option, right?
Yes.
Throw everything and just run.
Yes, I think running should always be your first option.
Okay, all right then. If you're fast enough,
yes.
Ladies with high heels, I always think, when I'm with the high heels, how am I going to run, And you need the time to actually get them off.
True.
To run effectively. You're a taekwondo exponent, Shamir. Did it take you a long time to practice and apply martial arts?
Very, very long. I started learning taekwondo since I was in primary school. I was a taekwondo instructor for about 10 years, actually. Previously, I used to go for tournaments and all. And here's the thing, every time you go for a tournament, you need to practice for the next one.
Yep.
The next guy is always going to be better than you. Same applies in the real world. The person who attacks you is going to be better than you. He's never going to choose a target which he thinks he cannot defeat.
Right.
And when panic kicks in and all, our reaction is going to be very different. We are not going to be as strong as we think we are during those situations.
Okay. Coming up, we'll find out more about KickOut as well as the Breakaway program on the Big Picture, BFM 89.9.
You're listening to BFM 89.9, the business station.
Good afternoon. It is the Bigger Picture and it's Mira Sivasodi. We're discussing KickOut. It's an organization and they have a program called Breakaway for us to actually help look after ourselves as far as crime is concerned. And with me, Shamir Rajadurai. He's a practical self-defense specialist, together with Emeline Lew. She's an assistant trainer. Now, your trainers come from different backgrounds, I understand. What sort of background?
We first started off with people who have come with different martial art backgrounds. And then we realized, look, okay, let's try hiring trainers which have no background whatsoever in martial arts. Let's see how well they can apply these techniques. So that's what we did. We started later on hiring people which have no background whatsoever, but just one thing they need, the passion and the belief that they want to keep society safe.
Right.
That's the only thing we hired them. That's the only base we had. That's the only requirement. You believe and you have the passion to keep society safe, feel free to join us.
What about Emeline? What background do you have? Do you have background in martial arts?
A little, but that was when I was 9 years old to 10 years old. I had the taekwondo for 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
And then right now I'm just a student in UCSI University.
Right. So what made you want to get involved in this program?
Basically, with all the crime rates going up right now, I'm a petite girl and I was wondering how would I react to this type of situation. So I met Shamir through a mutual friend, and then from that on, I started to become one of his trainers.
Right. Has it helped you in any way?
Definitely. It basically makes me more alert to my surroundings and not make myself a target when I'm in car rides or when I'm walking to school. Yeah, basically like that.
And I understand the Breakaway program is in 3 phases. Could you just briefly go through it with me?
Okay, the first phase is where we mainly explain to you what are the crime techniques, and we go through a few steps with you. The base of it, if someone grabs you on the same hand, on the right hand, on the left hand, what do you, technique A for escape A, that kind of thing. And the second stage is where we go through this in a bit more detail with you. We go through the techniques in a bit more detail,
right,
whereby we actually ask your partners to pull you. So the feel is different because you will start to resist. And the third part is where it's a bit interesting, is that we give you a feel of what it's like to be attacked on the street, whereby everybody takes a seat and we go one-on-one, whereby my instructors are there and they're just going to attack you at random. So you're not going to know what's going to happen, when is it going to happen, and what type of attack is going to take place. So it gives you a little bit of that shock factor just to see how fast you react. And the base of all the techniques are actually very much the same. It for all the hand techniques, it just boils down to the base of one technique, whereby chokes as well boils down to another. So you cannot really go very wrong with these techniques. The chances of you going out of it is very, very slim, because at that point when you react to it, you're just going to think, okay, this is the best way to react to it, and somehow you're able to break free from grabs or chokes.
Okay. And how long has KickOut been around?
We were designing and experimenting on the program for about 4 years before we launched it.
Okay.
And we launched it about 1.5 to 2 years ago. I think we're almost reaching 2 years.
Fantastic. So how would you describe the people who are coming forward to attend these classes?
The people who mainly come forward are people who are very concerned about society and what's happening nowadays. And the beautiful part about this is that a lot of companies, a lot of organizations have realized that this is something which is very necessary at this point of time, because for them to keep their workers safe is very important. So they hire us on from time to time, saying, look, why not you come over, do this with my staff. So that's what we do. We have people from all ages coming. Normally we do it from 17 years old and above, because on what we talk about, the current crime techniques we talk about, can be very much related to them. You know, the crowd which are driving, those that go clubbing, those who are working. This is the normal target. And so this is the general crowd that comes. And we've got people who are very old which are coming, retired people who attend. And these techniques are still applicable for them because they are able to break free with this technique. It's so easy. That's why it's so easy, and so for them it's not an issue to attend.
Okay, that's good to know, really, because I think when you talk about self-defense, we always think of martial arts.
Yes.
And you can forget about the elderly. They're not going to come forward at all.
Exactly.
But knowing this, it's fantastic. So would you say that is the difference between the Breakaway program as opposed to other self-defense classes?
Yes, I would believe so. To safely say, we have not really heard much. No, have you ever heard of a company providing training which doesn't involve punching or kicking? A very common thing people talk about is like, okay, look, we hit the groin. If anybody comes hit the groin, it's not as easy as you think it is. And if a person gets hit in the groin, he's really going to be very, very aggressive after that. So we would really like to avoid any form of aggression. And we always say, look, if anybody comes with you, anybody comes towards you to attack you, first thing you do, you scream your lungs out. And just to prove that it works to a certain extent where people will actually come and help, we actually did a shoot in Bangsa, whereby we tried to rob a person. It was all staged and it was recorded. Rob a person, and she screamed her lungs out, and these people just came to beat this guy up.
Right.
And you know, so we had to go and say, look, stop, just record it.
But, you know, when that is if, you know, there's a crowd, right?
Yes.
And if there isn't a crowd nearby, what do you do then? I mean,
give your belongings. Give your belongings. Please, just give your belongings. Don't try to be smart. Don't try to think like, look, you know, I can save my belongings. I can fight back a bit. I might get hurt. But look at it this way. You might lose your money. If you fight back, you are going to spend that money on your medical bills. So, and it's what we believe is that it's not worth the risk. It's really not worth the risk. Every day we hear people almost, you know, dying, people's hands getting slit. And it's so sad.
Right.
It's so sad. You know, sometimes we sit down and we talk to people. People come up to us and they relate incidents which has happened to their colleagues. It is so sad.
Right. Do you find that people coming forward to be a part of the program have been victims of crime? Most of them
have some, are able to relate to the program in one way or another, whether they know a loved one who has been a victim or they themselves have been victims. And here's the thing, I really have to reinforce this, that sometimes you really need the stomach to digest the stories they tell you. It can get from very basic stories to some stories which are really sick.
Right.
There are very cruel people out there, unfortunately, in the world. There are very cruel people out there. And we who are just normal people, ordinary people, become victims of this kind of crimes.
Right.
So it is something which is very sad.
Cruel and desperate, I would say.
Yeah, I would say it both. But I really have to give credit to the PDRM. PDRM, they have been putting a lot of effort forward. The GTP has come up with a program, the Omnipresent program, which I feel is really good. I believe it has helped to a certain extent. They've involved the RELA, the Rukun Tetangas, and even myself, in my neighborhood, I'm actively involved in the Rukun Tetangga. And I have to say that the police is very good in this aspect, where they have been very supportive of it. Maybe I would just like to personally thank Inspector Gunam, from the Sipak police station, whereby he and his men have been very supportive. Every time we go out for a ronda at night, we go out for a night watch walk, he actually sends his sergeants to walk with us.
Right.
They either come walk with us on foot or they come on the bikes. So they've been very supportive on this.
Okay, but they can't be around everywhere, can
Not
they?
every time. So it's important for us to protect ourselves.
Sure. I mean, we have a whole load of programs going on. How effective do you think it is? We have the My Distress smartphone application, which is downloadable in Selangor, a whole lot of other issues. Do you think we are making full use of it?
I think one thing good about the My Distress is that you don't need to call a police station or 999 and tell them, look, this is what's happening, I'm here. It takes time. The My Distress is a button, you just press it, and the police are alerted straight away, so they come over straight away. And I think it would be good in the sense, with the new budget and all, they've been giving rebates for smartphones. It's a good opportunity for people to get these phones, get this application, download it, and if an emergency arises, just press. Even if you feel suspicious, just say you're walking on the street, you feel suspicious, someone is coming, they're probably going to rob you, you just press the button. The police are not going to scold you, this is a false alarm. They're not going to scold you. They will actually come and say, okay, they'll check it out. If it's nothing, they'll tell you it's nothing.
Right. Then we also have the People's Volunteer Corps,
yes,
which is, of course, RELA, and Civil Defence Department, who have been deployed in hotspot locations under what we call the Omnipresence Program.
Exactly.
How much do you think that has helped?
I think it has helped tremendously.
As a deterrent?
Yes, I believe so. Because of course, the more petty thefts, they are a bit worried about the crowds. They will try to avoid places which have personnel around. But of course, the more well planned and the more daring ones do not really bother about these kind of things. But to a certain extent, I believe it has. But I think people should actually understand this, that there is no such thing as a safe neighborhood. They should not think, okay, my area is guarded, there's not been much crime happening. The fact should remain that there is still crime.
Right.
And they should realize that, look, there's no such thing as a safe neighborhood. I should take every precautionary measure necessary to avoid being a victim. When I say take precautionary measures, I don't mean change your lifestyle.
Be paranoid, which I think many people are paranoid
Yes,
now.
many people are. But in a way, to a certain extent, it's good, but not too paranoid. But here's the thing. You will hear people saying things like, don't dress the way you're dressing. Do not use high heels and go out. Do not use that dress. Do not stay out late at night. Do not carry this. Do not carry that. I believe that it's not necessary. You want to dress the way you want to dress, go ahead. You want to go out to a certain area, go ahead. But just be smart about it. If you are dressing out, maybe a bit to go out, maybe let's just say clubbing, you're going to be out late. Please ask a friend to drop you back home and make sure you reach back home safely. Don't say it's okay, I'll take the cab. Don't say things like that. If you're using high heels, please, by all means, go ahead. But do not walk in alleys. It is
Common sense, really.
Common sense. But I believe the reason why people still become victims is because we are ignorant. We're ignorant of the fact, thinking that, okay, this is not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen.
I think that is the biggest mindset problem at the moment.
Yes.
Until it actually hits you.
Yes.
Just to go through a hypothetical scenario, let's say someone breaks into the home when you're sleeping. What do you do then?
First thing you should do is actually, if you're a family, you've got kids and all, get your kids, lock everybody up into one room and call the police. Don't try to investigate it first. You may never know what is waiting downstairs for you. You are not going to be prepared. They are always prepared. So lock yourself in the room, call the police, call the cops straight away. The first thing everybody should do is have the local police department number in their speed dial. Have it, call the police department, lock everybody up, hold a weapon if you need to. Okay? But make sure block the door, block every entrance. If you can escape. Maybe through a window. Open the window, scream for help. That's what you can do. Just to rattle maybe another story, which has happened. This happened to a personal family. I know them very well. That someone broke into the house while they were there, and what they did was they quickly ran up. They locked themselves in the room, opened the windows, and screamed for help. Screamed their lungs out for help. And when the neighbors started coming out, these guys just got in their car and ran off.
Okay.
Yes.
So all that helps, really.
Yeah, so all that helps. Mainly one thing you do is to keep yourself safe. Lock yourself up. If you have to hide in a corner, hide in a corner. But try to alert the authorities.
Okay. Of course, very common. Women are the target of, rapists,
Yes.
right? You roughly can tell when it's a robbery and when you're in for deeper problems. What do you do then?
I think what's important is that always expect the worst case scenario. Do not think that, okay, this is probably going to go smooth as it is. But if you are going to become a victim of rape, the best way is try to escape in any way possible. Different scenarios happen in different areas. You're in a house, you're outside, you're walking alone. It is very hard to actually give anyone a specific way to escape rape. It's not easy at all. But the best way is to take preventive measures. Rape normally happens either you're targeted or just by opportunity. So just say someone breaks into a house, they say, okay, the girl's beautiful, so let's rape her. Then you're in for a bit of trouble because you're already stuck.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing would be to do is that after you become a rape victim, just do not clean yourself up, go straight to the hospital and they will know what to do. But to really avoid being a rape victim is very difficult, because these people who are rapists, it's very hard to actually know what's exactly going on in their minds when they are aggravated, when they are aroused, what arouses them. It's very hard to pinpoint exactly what are the details. And as commoners, we are not going to know. We are not going to look at a person and say, oh, look, he's a rapist. We are not going to know that. So the best thing is just take caution in anything you do. You see someone following you, call the police, press the SOS button, anything necessary. Call a neighbor if you need to.
Yep. And know your neighbours, right?
Yeah, I definitely. I know.
That's another problem with all of us living in the city. Your final message, Emeline, as to why we should be a part of the Breakaway program.
This basically for your own safety, for the community, be a part of Breakout.
Shamir?
Yeah. I think what's very important is that we should every time take any precautionary measure we can, and I believe there's not enough awareness actually out there. So please, what's important is that this program is designed for everyday people. It's not designed for people who are physically fit. It's designed for people who look as people we just cannot fight back. That's what the whole thing is designed for. That's the whole approach of it. Protecting yourself and your loved ones in a very practical manner. What we talk about during our sessions are very, very practical. Anybody can grasp it. It is typical Malaysian crime. It is very, very customized to Malaysia, especially Selangor and KL.
How do we get in touch with you?
You can always visit our website, www.kickout.com.my, KICKOUT.com.my. Or you can visit us on our Facebook page, KickOut.breakaway, KICKOUT.breakaway. Or you can maybe just contact me on my mobile as well, 014-905-3442.
Fantastic. Thank you both very much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Mira.
Thank you so much.
Emeline Lew, an assistant trainer, and Shamir Rajadurai, a practical self-defense specialist on practical self-defense on the Bigger Picture, BFM 89.9.
BFM 89.9, the business station.